Welcome to the Eye on Active Health Show with your host, Khalil Smith, and I have a guest, Andrea Ward. She's an award-winning film director, producer, writer, actress, and activist. But let me get into this introduction. Now I'm going to talk to her about her story and what she's doing right now. Good morning, Andrea.
Good morning.
I'd like to talk about your love for fashion and your first brand, first cut and sew brand.
Yes. So originally, I was a designer for about 6 years. I started in the fashion industry when I was 18 years old. I've toured the world with, I actually got discovered by Mercedes Benz Fashion Week during when Instagram first started. So I've done LA Fashion Week, I've done New York, I've gotten invites to tour internationally: Beijing, Dubai, Tokyo, Paris, London, Milan Fashion Week. It's been quite a journey too. And from, my fashion background, I didn't initially go to school for it. I actually learned from the school of YouTube.
All right, that's amazing. That's amazing. What got you into fashion when you said you started at 18?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be a model. So I started modeling at 18. I literally started from the bottom. And it wasn't until I turned about like 23, 24. I had just got out of an abusive relationship at the time, and I needed a way to heal from it. So what I did was I took all my past traumas and my pain and just whatever I was going through, and I started sketching and drawing because I could draw and sketch as well. And it started with my brother, like finding all my sketchbooks of all these designs just in my head. And he invested like $4,000 in sewing equipment and fabric. And he was just like, "What are you waiting for? You need to go ahead and make this happen." And I was like, "I don't think I'm ready." He was like, "Okay, make 5 outfits, put it on the internet, and just see what type of reaction you'll get." And then next thing you know, I had a phone call from Mercedes Benz themselves. I thought it was a prank call. I actually hung up the first time they called. And then the second time they called, they were just like, "Yeah, we're a representative from Mercedes Benz Fashion Week. We saw your brand on Instagram, and we would love for you to showcase as a new emerging designer for LA Fashion Week." And that's initially how I got into the industry, especially as a designer.
Oh, that's amazing. That's a blessing too, especially when people notice you, especially when you got a talent and they see it.
Yeah, see, I thought it was a dream because, I'm from Baltimore, and opportunities like this don't really come often. Baltimore is a very small city. And of course, there's crime and the system is totally messed up there. So I was not expecting that, because my family's a little old fashioned. So we were always raised to, okay, work, go to school, come home, not really in a creative aspect. Okay, you should pursue your dreams, your admirations, your goals creatively, and who you are, what makes you happy as a person to be able to openly express yourself creatively and to be appreciated for your art and your vision.
Well, I'm glad you went that route, the creative way. I love seeing entrepreneurs like explore their creative side and do that. But I do want to explore you as an actress, film director, producer. Talk to me about that passion and what led you in that route.
Yes. So a couple years ago, I ended up on the Steve Harvey show. And, the experience was cool. I was not used to being in front of the camera. And so I fell in love with the art of production as well. But I was always a writer since I was 9. Um, so I started from there, then got casted in a Netflix project called the Raincoat Academy with King Vader, and I was the news reporter. So I fell in love with actually playing the role of someone else other than myself, just pretending to be someone else. And I do type kind of fast, like a news reporter. So that actually fit me as well, and I was able to, to kind of step outside of myself and just be unique and different, kind of explore those different skills that I didn't know I had. And I studied at a school in London called Identity, which was a really great school at the time, and I was surprisingly good at all these different talents like voiceovers, children voiceovers, or I could do the Terminator. I could do a whole bunch of oddly different things, but I was also perfect at it. But what got me into film, and I fell in love with it, because I had so many stories I had to tell, and being a survivor from Baltimore, surviving abuse and surviving so many different things. And I was just like, well, what if I use my current platforms that I work so hard for and I have access to be able to share the stories of the untold and be the voice for the voiceless? Because often these stories are not heard about or spoken about because they're often frowned upon, or the victims are belittled, ridiculed, judged, and it takes a lot of courage to just come out and to express yourself and to say, hey, I am a survivor of abuse, or hey, I was homeless, or I was bullied as a kid, or it's so many different social issues we as people go through, and we often don't hear about it. And which led me into writing my own screenplays, directing, and producing it, because I have access to all these different platforms and a great amount of following. And as someone that is a public figure of my community, I feel as though if you survive something, you're meant to tell your story and your testimony, because your testimony just may save a life, if not inspire someone else, because you never know who's listening to you and who's watching you. And that's what made me fall in love with the art of film, because 90% of the films are actually based off of something that actually happened. And you don't really hear the background stories. We just pay attention to the technicalities or the visuals. Oh, this looks like a dope project. But little do you know, there's always a background story behind that project that influenced and that inspired the writer to write this project. Writing is an art form itself, but if you're writing, casting, and directing everything all in one, it's pure art, and that's why I founded and started my own production company called Redemption Images, where the voiceless is heard, and being the voice for the voiceless, for the ones that can't really speak for themselves. And I did that as a way of becoming the hero I needed when I was going through my storm. I didn't have anyone to save me. I had to become the hero within myself to save myself. But if I could spread awareness and share those stories that are often not told and unheard, then maybe I could be a hero in a way to someone else. So film is much more to me than it just means so much more to me, because I'm making a difference. It's not just about the money or about the fame or about anything else. Like, I do what I do with a sole purpose, and my purpose is to give back to the world and to make a difference.
That's amazing. It's all about giving back to people, giving value, inspiring, like you said, helping or changing lives in that matter. What tips would you give somebody who's going through something like such as you did, and they're trying to get out of that dark place? Would you recommend writing, journaling, telling their story, or if they wanted to do movies per se?
Yes. So I would strongly, strongly advise and encourage that they write about it. Get a journal, write about it, or like I call it a manifestation journal of things that you want to do and things you want to accomplish. Like, if you have something, a vision in your head, and it doesn't make sense, maybe it's just meant for you to try it and see where that journey may take you. Also, healing. When you're going through traumas and you're coming from a really, really dark place, it is always best to seek out help, therapy. Also, not just working on yourself mentally, but spiritually and physically as well. You have to condition your body if you're so used to living a certain lifestyle or thinking a certain way. You need to change it. If you're not happy about something within yourself, there's something within you. You have to change it. Therapy helped me a long way because any traumas you've gone through in the past, you don't want to project that onto the next person or hurt the people that are closest to you, because the people that are closest to you is your village, and you're going to need them to be able to heal fully. No one heals overnight, and Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time, and you just have to keep yourself focused, pray, focused, and just think about everything you want to accomplish and just change what you're not happy with yourself. So when I went through it, I was almost 400 pounds. I ended up homeless after I left that toxic situation, and I was in the darkest moment of my life. I didn't really have a whole bunch of people around me. No one really understood what I was going through, and I didn't really have anyone to talk to. But it wasn't until I just threw myself, everything that I was going through, into my craft, into my art. And that's how I got into fashion. That's how I discovered myself, my passions with TV and film and writing, because it became very therapeutic to me. And it also helped me heal, because if I'm healing, I could be the best version of myself to the people that love me and that are surrounded by me. And that's the best thing I could encourage. And also listening to motivational videos and inspirational videos. Like, my favorite speaker is Lisa Nichols, because she's been through similar situations. Find someone that you look up to. Seek out a mentor. It doesn't hurt to ask for a mentor. We all need guidance at some point of our lives, especially if we've gone through things we've never encountered before. And maybe reach out to someone that has and has overcame it, because you can overcome anything. And I always say this: storms are temporary. They only last for a second, but there's always light after a storm.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I agree. I love Nisa, as well as Tony Robbins or Les Brown, like all the motivational speakers. People should listen to them and find something to inspire them. Also, tell me about the book. Like, I know you're an author as well. Like, you're doing so many things. I see. It's amazing. You're amazing. Tell me about that.
Yes. So I'm actually, it's a couple of books I'm coming out with this year. So I'm actually coming out with a comic book later on this year. It is for our community and people of color. I feel as though when it comes to comic books and heroes, we don't really have too much of that. And if we do, it's very limited, almost slim to none. So just trying to change that dynamic, especially as a young woman of color. It does have its challenges, but it is worth it, because I want more kids that look like me to be able to look up and be like, I want to be a hero when I grow up, or I want to do XYZ. So I have a comic book coming up this fall. I have a children's book coming out too, called Little Miracles, inspired by my beautiful daughter, Miracle. This is for kids that are different, that have disabilities, that's autistic, nonverbal. To show them that they are unique and beautifully gifted in their own way. It's something to inspire them as well, because you're different. It doesn't mean that you can't stop dreaming and believing in yourself and having all these goals and admirations for yourself as well. And I feel like it's very important to be able to inspire children. And my third project that I'm also coming out with is called Shades of Black and Blue. It is pretty much my testimony of what I've gone through in such a short period of time, and how I was able to overcome it and to become the woman that I am today, and to be able to come from being homeless, abused, to now making and writing award-winning films and living my dreams and making my dreams into my reality. Especially not only as a filmmaker, as an actress, and also as an activist for battered women and children, and launching my program to give back to battered women and children. I'm actually working with someone from the U.S. Defense Government as of right now. It's called Life After the Storm.
I love what you said about superheroes. Like kids look up to them. They should see somebody that look like them, so they could be more inspired. I like what you're doing, creating something for them that they can see themselves in. That's powerful.
Thank
Tell me
you.
more about Life After the Storm. Life After the Storm. Yes.
Okay, so the program Life After the Storm is an initiative program that we decided to come up with about 2 years ago. But because COVID happened and the pandemic, it kind of slowed things down. So this is actually to give back and to help, you know, wives of veterans that, recently went to war and they come back very disturbed and different. And a lot of times they, not everyone, but in some cases, they do come back very much different, but also physically, if not verbally abusive. And the spouses do go through it, and the children are there. If not going through it, they have to witness that with their parents. There needs to be some sort of system in place, not just for the victims, but also for the abusers as well, because maybe they don't realize what they're doing. Maybe that is a trigger trauma, something that they've learned or was conditioned to when they were a kid and during their childhood. So it's pretty much about getting to the root of the issue, why this is happening, and why and how we could possibly and potentially be able to stop the cycle from repeating itself, because it's going to keep repeating to the next generation and the next and the next and the next. And it's gotten to a point of, where does this become enough? The rates for DV have gone up by 40%, especially when during the pandemic, when it first happened, the death rates had skyrocketed just because of domestic violence. That's just because we're not talking about everything else and all the technicalities. And a lot of victims don't make it out alive, and kids sometimes don't make it out, or they're emotionally traumatized and triggered. And then that's something that they've learned and that's seared in their mind. So when they get older, potentially either fall victim to someone that was like their father or parent, or end up inflicting the same emotional pain and physical on someone else because they were traumatized by it. So that's what the program is about. Life After the Storm is an initiative program where I'm also going to be mentoring women and children and men who are going through these things, and how to potentially channel your pain into power and figure out what it is about you that is keeping you from healing. Just finding a way and other alternatives to heal, because not everyone can cope with trauma the normal way or the safe way. Some people turn to drugs, some people turn to alcohol, some people turn to another abusive relationship. And it's just figuring out, okay, what can we do as a community? And here I'm doing my part too as well, because I want to be able to tell these stories, to spread more awareness. Because not everyone knows like the signs and indications when it comes to the different forms of abuse. There's physical, there's mental, there's spiritual, and there's also with finances as well. If your abusive partner is financially set or stable and you are not, we're just trying to get to the root of the issue with the program. And we will be releasing that program later on this year, sometime in October, in honor of DV Awareness Month, which is so dear and close to my heart because, as a survivor, if I'm able to make a difference, I'm doing something right. It's one step closer to making a difference in the world.
That's amazing, especially providing awareness for DV. That's important. It happens way too often in our community and around the world. So I'm glad you're doing that. Um, Talk to me about. I know you're the great niece of Billie Holiday. Um, I remember her song "Strange Fruit," and yes, tell me a little about that. I know they came out with a movie about it, and I believe
Yes.
you. I don't know if you had anything to do with it, or just tell me anything about that. Like,
Um,
how's that affected your career and your life?
so with the project that they came out with, Billy versus United States, that had nothing to do with that. Um, Honestly, there is some other stuff behind the scenes. I won't get into.
Okay, I think I lost you. Oh, there
Oh,
we go.
yeah, I won't get into that, but I will say this: the young lady, Audrey, she did an amazing job portraying her. Very talented, super beautiful voice. Now, do I agree how the story was told about Billy? Absolutely not. It does not even remotely touch the surface about her life, who she was as a person, and especially as a Black woman in this industry as well. You mean, this industry, the system, everyone failed her. She was the victim. It wasn't the other way around. She was the victim. I didn't like how they portrayed and painted her, and I honestly wish they would have reached out and really got the real, true story 100% instead of what they thought and from their perspective. I still have her, there is a journal till this very day that exists. So I wish they would have reached out. Unfortunately, it is Hollywood. Sometimes people are in it for their next big break or money, whatever their initial goal was. I'm sure they succeeded. But being the great niece of Billie Holiday, I didn't find out until like a couple years ago, and it was speculations, but I didn't really feed too much into it until I actually did my research. And I do look a lot like her. And I used to wonder as a kid, like, why do I look like this lady? Who's this lady? And then my grandmother decided to tell me more. Because my grandmom and her were about the same age at the time, and they both lived in Baltimore. So it was a lot with that. And being the great niece of Billie Holiday, it is quite a bit of pressure because she created such a big legacy and she had such an amazing impact on the world, on the culture, music, film, everything. As a young Black girl from Baltimore, just making it. And in the jazz era, like we still have segregation going on and racism and lynching and stuff. And Strange Fruit has a much deeper meaning than you all would ever know. In the film, they portray it as one way. That's not the way. It was way deeper than that. It has a much deeper meaning. um, I just wish people knew the full truth, and one day I may tell that all to the world because her legacy, it needs to be painted the right way. It needs to be told the right way because she went through so much pain and suffering in her career to make a difference. Like she walked so we could run as Black women. Black women, Black people in general were treated very differently and poorly during that time. We weren't given opportunities, and if we were, we got maybe little to nothing. The system was not fair. The world was not fair during that time because of the color of our skin. But we possessed all the talent and the skills and capabilities and more, and still having to deal with the struggles of life and just living and being in that era where racism, segregation, lynching and the KKK, like our people have been through so much pain, and it's enough. Enough is enough, you know? So it just inspired me and it pushes me more, and it's made me a much stronger woman because me and Billy had a lot in common. We went through some of the similar things. And just about every woman in my family has gone through similar things. Unfortunately, it happens. It's just life. It's what you do after the storm when you go through it is what counts and what matters. And what she decided to do was sing her heart out, sing her pain, put it on the stage, and show the world what she was capable of. So she inspires me in many ways. Her strength, her courage, despite what she was going through, despite her childhood, despite the trauma, despite everything, she still made it happen. And even during her demise and pain, she still sung her heart out. She put her heart on her sleeve. She was one of the strongest women in the family that I knew about. The stories my grandmother would tell me, the things I would see in the journal, it made me look at her very differently in a very different perspective. In a way, the world doesn't even know who she truly was. They have this idea of how she was painted because of media and what they thought actually happened or how it happened. It's not it. I just wish the world knew her more and knew the truth.
Yeah, that's amazing. She had a amazing impact on the world. Same as you. You're having an amazing impact every day I see. What I would like to ask you, where can people contact you or reach you if they want to get involved with your program or to just volunteer or get a role in your next films or any things you got going on for that matter.
Yes. So you could visit my website, which is www.redemptionimages.com. We also have Instagram, Redemption Images. Also, my other Instagram, which is Andrea the Creative, which is my public figure page where I am actively protesting and, speaking up for battered women and children. And I also run like a mentor program on the side as well to young aspiring filmmakers, especially kids that want to be filmmakers, or be in comic books or be actors. Sometimes I will coach them as well too. So you can find everything on my page, which is www.redemptionimages.com. The voice for the voiceless.
All right, thank you, thank you. Where do you see yourself in 5 years with everything you're doing? What are some of your goals?
So in the next 5 years, I honestly see myself holding my first Emmy or Oscar
Okay, okay, let's
and
speak
more.
that into existence.
I see myself having multiple locations internationally. I see my comic books becoming very successful, being turned into feature films as well. And I also see me being able to change the dynamic and shake things up in the industry because the time of women is now. It's not never, it's now. It's gonna happen today. And I'm gonna make a difference because it's so rough being a black woman in the film industry. You have to work 10 times harder. And you have to be self-taught on everything. You have to know everything. And just creating that blueprint for the next generation to come. If they want to get into TV and film and they're a young black girl and they don't have any sense of direction or how to do it, I want to be living proof that, hey, if I could do it, you can do this too. Here's the blueprint. I want you to be successful and to succeed. I can see myself doing more public speaking events internationally, shaking hands with Issa Rae and working with Ava DuVernay, which I got approved to work with Ava DuVernay as a post production producer.
Oh,
So
all amazing.
literally manifesting everything, like everything I've ever spoken about, I am manifesting it now, and it's happening right before my eyes. Like, so if I could do everything within maybe 4 years or less, I can do a lot more in 5.
Oh, I hear that power manifestation. That's amazing. So you have to. You got to speak into existence. We don't get what we normally just get what we expect, not what we are worth or believe we can get. So I believe that what we expect, what we write down, what we tell ourselves every day, that is what possible. But let me get into this I don't act round I like to do. What is your purpose on this earth,
My
in your opinion?
purpose is to make a difference. My purpose is to be a beacon of hope for anyone that is like me, anyone that comes from a background like mine. That you do not have to continue to live in your life as the victim. You can be the hero within yourself. You are the hero. You are brave. You are courageous. You are strong. You are beautiful. You are bold. And you can do anything that you put your mind to it. My purpose is to share this testimony. My purpose is to make a difference in life for the next generation, to make sure um, the next generation, especially little girls that look like me, have the opportunity, have the God given right to be able to do what they want to do and what they imagine how their life would be. That is my purpose. I just want to change the world one step at a time, even if it's one day, one moment. I just want to make a difference. That's my purpose.
I love that. I love that. Being a hero in your own story. You have to be. My second question: what are some relationships you had to cut off to grow?
Oh, that's a really good question. So I honestly had to cut off a lot of friends in college because after college, I went through that traumatic situation and I didn't really have anything in common with them. I had to cut off people that didn't really see anything for themselves going. They didn't have any admirations or dreams, goals, or ambitions they wanted to accomplish. They just were comfortable with doing the same thing, which is nothing. And so, in order to be successful, you need to surround yourself with successful people, or people just as self driven and ambitious with dreams and goals in mind as well. Because that's how you build a system, that's how you build a team, that's how you build a support system as well. And and anyone that's not cheering or rooting you on or being supportive, you don't need to have them in your life, because you can't try to walk through doors that are strictly meant for you to open them and bring other people with you. Because if you try to bring everyone with you that's not meant to be with you, they will pull you down as you're trying to come up to swim and catch a breath of air. That's not how life works. Even sometimes with family, sometimes you might have to take a step away from family a little bit to figure out what it is that you want to work on within you. And if your family is not supportive, like, take a step back. Not saying cut them off, love them from a distance, love them enough where so they'll catch on to what you're doing and to actually believing in what you have going on. Because some family backgrounds, they're not really into the whole creative, or start a show, be an actor, move to the opposite end of the world. Like, some families are just different. They're a little old school, which is nothing wrong with that, but everyone has the right to choose how they want to live their life. So I've had to cut off a lot of friends, sometimes family, but family always comes together. But friends, yeah, I've definitely had to cut off people, especially for my mental and just healing emotionally, mentally, and spiritually as well. Because sometimes the people that you think love you or you've known forever, maybe you're entirely a different person than when you once were before. Maybe you and the people that used to be so close would have nothing in common, and they can't do anything for you. They could probably try to sabotage what you have going on or just not be supportive. Those are not the people that's meant to be in your life. And and I just want to say this too, to anyone that's a creator, we as people, we have to stop ignoring the signs and indications. Because we've known someone for a very long time, it means absolutely nothing. You can meet a stranger from the street today, tomorrow, and they will support you and be your biggest supporter. Those are the people you want to keep in your circle. And that's how you win. That's how you become successful, because you have to have some sort of support and people to inspire and motivate you to keep going, keep pushing. Because if this game was easy, everybody would do it. And this game is not for the weak at all, you know? So that's my take. So I've definitely had to cut off friends and sometimes not talk to
Oh no, I lost you
family,
again.
you know.
There we go. Yeah, I love it. I love it. I love your mindset and your character. Definitely inspiring. Like, I believe that. You ever heard of the law of
Can
conform?
you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay, give me 1 second. How about now? Can you hear me?
Let me. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you.
I can't hear you.
Hold on. See what's going on. It's weird.
Let's see.
Can you hear me?
I'm not sure what happened.
How about now? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? No. Oh no, let me see something quick.
You might have to put me backstage and bring me back.
Yeah, give me 1 second. Let me try that again. Hello?
Oh,
can you hear me?
Let's see. No. Okay, perfect. I hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Wow. I'm like, what's going on? But okay, what I was saying was, have you ever heard of the law of conformity?
Yes.
Like you were saying, huh? Like you said, it's all about your setting, your group, if you with 5 people of a certain characteristics, you're more likely to gain it as well. So that's what I thought about when you were saying that. So like that's really important. Hopefully the audience hear that and they take that takeaway. Be careful who they allow. They give their energy to, or their energy they receive from people, because that will shape you, shape your behavior, your thoughts, your actions. So I think that's amazing. My third question is, what workouts do you normally do to enhance your mind and your body? Because I believe working out is good for your mind as well as your body. What do you like to do? What is your favorite?
I love boxing. Okay, so I love anything with martial arts. I'm very big into martial arts. So I love boxing. I love Muay Thai, Krav Maga. Krav Maga is really tough. It challenges your mind, body, and spirit as well because it is a lot that goes into it. Muay Thai, it's more like physically and mentally as well, like your mental. I love it because it challenges in all directions. And if you're stressed out or just need to like a reliever, maybe at a stressful week, you know, Muay Thai, boxing, Krav Maga usually helps me. I love to run, because I have asthma. So I tend to challenge myself because I'm like, all right, I'm not going to allow my asthma to just take control of everything and dictate, like, okay, I can't run this far because I have asthma. No, I tend to run because I want to challenge myself as a person, as an individual in a whole. I love yoga. Yoga is actually a great stress reliever as well. I do that as often as possible. It's a lot of physical stuff that I do. Film combat, like fighting on camera. I just actually started training with like a samurai sword and knives and everything else. It's actually
Okay.
pretty fun and quite challenging sometimes, but it actually helps me to become a better actor as well.
That's amazing, amazing. Also, like helping your helping you on the film and helping your body. I love you doing. I love seeing you doing different things, variation, varieties. That's good for you. My fourth question: what are some foods you like to eat that help your mind and your body?
Foods. Let's see. Um, so I love chicken. I love anything with seafood. I'm from Baltimore, so Obey, seasoning, seafood, hey,
Okay.
that's me. So anything with seafood, I love all my food grilled, baked or broiled as well. I try to stay away from fried foods. It has a different reaction for my skin. It's very sensitive because I used to be vegan for about 4 years. And I think one summer I had an oopsie at a barbecue. It's barbecue. You can't really beat barbecue. So I couldn't resist.
All right. I want to say thank you, Andrea Ward, for coming on the I Don't Active Health Show. It was a pleasure to have you. And you gave my audience so much value today. Hearing your story, what you're doing, what you're trying to create, your dreams, your goals. And I want them to tap in to whatever you're doing and check out your progress and see what can enhance their lives as far as everything we talked about, as well as domestic violence if they seek help in that aspect, which is very important to me. So I want to say thank you for coming on the I Don't Actor Show, and it was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, of course.